Okay, so for number 9, this one's a good question. I remember it being a little tricky for me the first time I ever read it, but that's because I normally teach algebra, not geometry. Since my first year ever seeing this problem, it's gotten a lot easier, and I teach geometry like every summer school anyway. So just revisit some of our geometry skills. Think back to middle school when you did last did geometry. So we have square ACEG, so that's how they like name shapes. They tell you what points belong to that shape. So square ACEG shown below has B, D, F, and H marked as midpoints. If you don't remember, midpoints always cut the line halfway, right in the middle. So I know that from CD to DE is congruent and so forth. And it's the midpoints of lines AC, CE, EG, and AG respectively. So also know like the notation of these. These are referring to the lines, so the sides of the square. It says that a student thinks that the area of triangle DEF, triangle, shown shaded, is a fourth of the area of the square. Explain why the student is not correct. So a definite wrong answer would be, actually, the student is correct. Please don't disagree with the test. Like it didn't open it up to it being also correct. It said, explain why the student is not correct. Use part of what it's asking you in your explanation. So you could say, the student is not correct because, so that you're making sure you address all parts of the problem. And use like, don't put, that's my abbreviation for because, but like put the real word, all that stuff. But notice that it didn't tell me what any of the side lengths were. It didn't tell me any sort of dimension. So things that are unknown in math, we usually use variables for them. So say that we call this side X and it's a square. What do we know about squares?
All sides are the same.
All sides are the same. Good, thank you. So yeah, so if we don't know what one of the side lengths is, we could call it X, and since it's a square, all the side lengths are X. It'd be helpful if we knew what the area of the square is, but we know that the formula for area of a square is what? Length times width. And then if we're calling one side X, then the area of this square is X, which is what? X squared. So if we're saying that the triangle area is a fourth of the square, then it would have to be 1/4 times X squared, right? So here's my area of the square. The area formula for a triangle, what's that formula? What happens when I put two triangles together? What do they make? More so a rectangle, but two triangles make a rectangle. So if the area of a rectangle is length times width, then the area of a triangle is 1/2 length times width, or for a triangle, we more so call it base times height, but same difference. So they expect you to know area of a triangle formula. For me, that's one of the easier ones to remember because I know half a rectangle makes a triangle. Instead of say I go down the middle. All right, but if we are talking about the base and height of this triangle that they drew, and we know that D and F are midpoints, these go halfway of this side. I know that this dimension is 1/2 X. And then from here to here is also 1/2 X. Because we're saying D and F are midpoints, so it's cutting this side in half. So half of X is the dimensions, my base and height. So if I plug it into my formula, 1/2 base times height. My base is, we're saying is 1/2 x. My height, we're saying is 1/2 x. Multiply all the coefficients first. What's 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2? One half times 1/2 times 1/2. So this is where if you have like a handheld calculator, I think it's easier to work with. You could do fractions in parentheses like this. If you have like a real handheld calculator, it will give you a decimal, but then you hit the fraction to decimal button and then it'll give you what fraction it is. But if I'm stuck using this one, because I didn't bring my own, and it's gonna look ugly because I'm writing everywhere on the screen right now. I have to do 0.5, which is the same as 1/2, times 0.5 times 0.5. I get this decimal. Is this decimal the same as 1/4? It's not. Do you guys know what decimal, like what fraction that's equivalent to? 1/8, good. And if I do have this on this calculator, I can press this button, but no, it says 1/x. If I do that, it tells me that it becomes 1/8, but I have to know like how to read that. So that's why I recommend a different type of calculator, like bring your own. But 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/8. Or know your fraction rules. Or know your fraction rules, you multiply straight across, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And then x times x is. And x squared. All right, and we know the area of the square is x squared. The area of the triangle is 1/8 x squared. Not 1/4 x squared, like the mistake. So the student is not correct because the area of the triangle is actually 1/8 the area of the square. And then you get more points for including like calculations in your justification. So the student is not correct because the area of the triangle is actually 1/8 the area of the square, and you can elaborate on the calculations you did. You could say, if one side of the square is x, then the area of the triangle of the square is x squared. If D and F are midpoints, then the dimensions of the triangle are 1.5 x times 1.5 x times 1.5. And blah, blah, blah. So really explain if you do know it, show that you know it. If you have no clue, put something there and then move on with your life. Move on to something else if easier. Questions on any others? Any that we don't know where to start? Or if it's due by the end of class tomorrow, to physically turn it in for assessment. David? Number 8. Okay. So on this one. Have a little thing where it breaks all my work. Try this. All right, but number 8, Elaine's, this is one you're talking about, right? David? This is what you're talking about? Okay. So Elaine's Grocery has a lunch counter where people can order 3 types of sandwiches, egg salad, chicken salad, or falafel. Sandwiches can be made with 2 types of bread, pita or baguette. create a tree diagram by dragging and dropping the sandwich choices into the empty boxes to show all the possible combinations for a sandwich from this lunch counter. So, here is my answer options to pick from. If I want to make a tree diagram that shows all of my options, what are my like major options that I should have 3 of? Because the way it works, we have like our main branches. What's group is 3, John? So the 3 types of sandwiches, I wouldn't want to put the 2 types of bread because then what would have to go here? I wouldn't know. So I'd have to put the 3 different types of sandwiches, which they said were egg salad, chicken salad, and falafel. And then from each of those is stemming 2 options. So see where that could make sense. Each sandwich can be made with 2 different types of bread, pita or baguette. So then from each main option should have pita or baguette coming from each. Okay, so that's what the answer is. This one didn't ask you to explain, but if you got it wrong or left it blank, then I need an explanation. The 3 main branches would have to go with the 3 types of sandwiches you could get. And then the group of 2 would show all the different, bread you can have. There are only 2 options. Please. It shouldn't. When they, because if you like switch these 2, like it shouldn't matter. Or if you put baguette, pita, that shouldn't matter. As long as it shows all the possible combinations. I imagine that if this is like some big important state test and there's more than 1 answer option, that they would allow that. Otherwise, they'd be really specific in how they want to go through it. So if what you wrote originally actually means the same thing, then fine, just put that it's already correct, but yeah. All right. If it asks you, what are the possible combinations? You have basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You had 3 types of sandwiches and 2 different breads for each, so like 3 times 2 is 6. All right, other questions? I have time for 1 more, depending on how long it is, maybe 3 more. John. Number 10. Okay, so this one was an interesting one. It said a pattern exists among the unit digits of the powers of 7 as shown below. What's the units digits of 7 to the power of 50? It's showing you some stuff. And even I was like, what's a units digits? I don't know. It tells you right here. So that's why they say in some of the instructions, like read everything. The little subnotes. It says the units digit of 2401 is 1. So what they mean by units digit is like that last number. So use that key to kind of help you. So look at the last number of each power of 7. They're saying, these are all my different powers of 7. Look at the last number of each. They said a pattern exists between the units digit, which is the last number. So it goes 1793, 1793, 1, what's going to be the next one? 7, what's going to be the next one? 9, and then the next one. So, and that would go with my 7 to the power of 9, 7 to the power of 10, 7 to the power of 11. You could keep that pattern going if you wanted to, all the way up to 7 to the power of 50, especially if you didn't know like how else to get the answer. But there is a way like how far away is 50 from, and we'll go from this, like how far away is 50 from 8? 42 spaces away, so 50 is 42 away from the last power that they give us, which is 8. And it goes through 1, 2, 3, 4 different numbers. Okay, it keeps going 1793, 1793. So 4 different numbers. We can take 42 and divide it by 4. I know that's not going to be a whole number, but that'll at least get me to where like it starts being different. So 42 divided by 4. Is 10.5. So it's going through 10.5 rotations of the same 4 numbers. Okay, so from 7 to the power of 8, and I'm going to erase these. That would give me 7 to the power of 48 has the same one as this one, same units digit as that one. Hold on, I'm thinking. 10 times 4 is 40. So yeah, 7 to the power of 48 has the same units digit as this one. 7 to the power of 49 would have the next number we saw in the pattern, which was 7. 7 to the power of 50 would then have to have the last number being 9. Is that what we said the answer was? Is it? Okay, good. So then I did it right. That was the number. But yeah, that's what essentially we did. So sometimes they ask you to continue a pattern. Sometimes it's not that feasible, like to go 1793 all the way up to 50. So that's how you can kind of condense it a little bit. Or if there's nothing else you can do, you already did all the other things you know how to do, then yeah, continue the pattern until you get to it. 7 to the power of 50 is way too big of a number to fit on your calculator. That's why you have to. Don't lose your packet, please, for the love, put it somewhere safe. Continue working on your corrections at home, maybe watch the videos of my other classes. It's due tomorrow at the end of 3rd hour. For assessment 1.
Well.